Now, for those of you who may or may not know, we are all about electoral reform on this channel. And indeed, before we actually start, I would urge you to go over to change.com because at the moment they are running a massive petition that is gathering a lot, and I mean a lot of momentum. The last time I looked at it, over 300,000 people had signed this petition to change the voting system of the House of Commons from first past the post to proportional representation. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely huge, because if we want to change our voting system from first past the post to PR, which will bring about huge democratic changes and democratic shifts in this country, then we need to do two things. The first of all is we need to actually campaign for it and bring awareness. So things like this video, things like that petition, if you want PR, you need to start shouting about it, start conversations about it, get shouting and talking about it. The second thing we need to do is we actually need to prepare for the campaign itself, because if we are not prepared and we are not laying the groundwork for it already, we will find ourselves, fighting a potential uphill struggle. Because trust me, the last thing the Tories are going to want to do is to actually change the voting system. And trust me, when this becomes an actual serious issue, we do not want what happened back in 2011, where essentially they decided to go for what was known as AV voting system, which again in itself was quite bad, and it wasn't really a true version of the proportional representation. It would have had slight changes for the country, yes, but not the kind of true seismic shifts that a true proportional representation systems, or something like a single transferable vote, for example, would have had to this country. And so today we're going to look at something in politics.co.uk that came out, and it is an article commenting on the Holyrood system, but it's worthwhile knowing this article and going through it, because I can ultimately guarantee some of the arguments that are going to come against PR we are going to see here in this article. So it is well worth going through it and well worth understanding what those arguments against PR are going to be, and looking at, in itself, it does call for electoral reform. So again, good and bad. Don't take it either way, but learn from this. Essentially, that's the motto of this video. So before we jump into that, please do remember to hit that like and share button, and of course down below there is a link to my Patreon page, and of course there's a one-off donation link down there as well called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me a coffee. And thank you very much to all those people who do support me that way, or just hit the like and share buttons. Like they say, every little helps. So, as we said, this comes from politics.co.uk, and the title is Salmond's Alba venture exposes Scotland's voting system's flaws. So, former Scottish First Minister Alex Salmond has launched a new party with the intention of forming a supermajority for independence in the Scottish Parliament. Together with the SNP and Greens, his Alba party has momentum, but its strategy is to exploit a flaw in Scotland's largely proportional hybrid voting system. Alex Salmond's latest venture exposes the need for electoral reform at Holyrood. To someone with a limited knowledge of Scottish politics, Alba may sound like a new development that will hurt the SNP in May's Scottish elections, but this is far from the case. Under Holyrood's additional member system, or AMS, there are 73 single-member constituencies where the candidate with the most votes in each seat wins. Much like in the House of Commons, this constituency system leads to a mismatch between seats won and votes cast. As such, voters in Scotland get to cast an additional ballot, through which they choose a party. Within 8 regional areas, these votes are then tallied. The seats are allocated in a way that accounts for a number of constituencies already won by the party concerned, such as parties that do well in the constituency ballot do not win many seats on the regional ballot. In 2016, the SNP won 63 of the 129 seats in the Scottish Parliament. The SNP achieved that by winning 46% of the constituency vote and 41% of the regional vote. Of the SNP's 63 seats, 59 seats were constituency seats and 4 were regional. Alex Salmond is now hoping to exploit Scotland's current voting system by standing candidates only on the regional ballot. His expected pitch to SNP voters is to support Alba on the regional ballot, so to create an underrepresentative supermajority, such as pro-independence votes, which would not previously have counted in the regional ballot. Given the likelihood that the SNP could win the constituency seats, it could in effect count double. Alba's strategy is thus an overt attempt to game the system. Ironically, this distortion under his supposedly proportionate system could now be even worse than under the first past the post system. Salmond's dream scenario is for the SNP to retain their constituencies and for Alba to attract all the SNP's regional votes. Indeed, if Alba managed to attract 41% of the vote share that the SNP achieved on the regional list in 2016, then Alba and the SNP would together win 76% of seats available in Holyrood, squeezing out the other parties. Despite him being cleared in the court of law, many SNP supporters may choose to avoid Salmond after the events of the last 2 years and his very public disagreements with his former colleagues. Indeed, Salmond's approval ratings among Scots has dropped to -42% according to YouGov, little better than the -50% being experienced by Boris Johnson. However, if Salmond's supermajority strategy can entice enough independent supporters, Alba may have a real shot at winning seats in May. Modelling by Ben Walker of the poll aggregator Britain Elects suggests that the Alba party needs around 6% of the list to win any seats this May. With the SNP currently polling around 40% of the regional ballot, Alba would therefore need to attract the support of just over 1 in 6 SNP voters on the regional ballot to have a chance of entering Holyrood. The eventual distribution of seats will not be an underrepresentative as Salmond's ideal scenario, but it will still be present, and if Alba were to win a seat in each region. And there are no rules against Alba's strategy. But ultimately, this goes against the spirit of the system designed to create proportional outcomes. The additional member system in its current form has marked the welcome introduction of proportional representation in Scotland. But change is now needed to avoid gaming this system and to ensure fairer outcomes. Scotland could learn from Germany, which uses a similar mixed member system. The main expectation is that the size of the Bundestag is flexible and further MPs given to other parties if parties win more constituencies than they would be entitled to purely on the regional vote. If a modification were introduced here, Alba would still win representation if successful, but the number of total MSPs per party would be more accurately reflect the regional vote share. Scotland's current additional member vote system has other flaws too. Voters have little choice over their individual candidates, although regional list candidates are simply presented by parties to voters, with no opportunity for the electorate to allocate a preference to a specific candidate. The system also ensures that regional rather than national proportionality creates two types of SMMPs, constituency and regional. An alternative to tinkering with the additional member system would be to replace it with a single transferable vote, under which there would be multi-member constituencies with voters ranking candidates in order of preference. This would empower voters to end the two-vote MSP problem and lead to a larger proportional outcomes. The STV is used for Scottish council elections and is recommended by the Electoral Reform Society. Another fairer alternative would be the open list system, under which voters would choose one party for their multi-member constituency and get a say in the ordering of candidates on their chosen party list. This variant is used by the likes of Denmark and Iceland in their elections and deploys national levelling to ensure the complete party proportionality across the country. This is also this is the approach advocated by Ballot Box Scotland. So the additional member system was designed to better match seats with votes, making it a fairer alternative to Westminster's underrepresentative first past the post system. However, 22 years later, its weaknesses are being intentionally exploited. Alex Salmond's third act could falter, but Alba's intentions are a striking reminder that democracies should adapt to remain integrity. Scotland needs a new electoral system to provide fairer and efficient proportional representation. Scottish democracy needs an upgrade. And overall, like I say, when it does come time for us to have this vote, make no mistake, what Salmond has done here will be brought up and used against us to put down the idea of changing our voting system. Now, as was said there, what we need to do is make sure that it is that STV, that single transferable vote, that does go through to the voting ballot. So that is what people get to vote for when we have that referendum. And that is what we have to make sure, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be browbeating that idea completely and essentially using what Salmond has done here to essentially try and do damage to getting through and getting the voting system changed. And it is important that we understand what Salmond's done here so that we are prepared for that when that argument comes of, oh, what about what Salmond did with Alba in Scotland? Could that not happen here and, disproportionately affect our voting system when we change it? We have to be prepared for that argument. If we are not, then we stand to lose again. And trust me, when we need, now more so than ever, time to really change our voting system and how it shapes the country and who gets elected, a proportional voting system based on a single transferable vote is the best way to do it. So, as always, thank you for watching. Please do remember to hit that like and share button. Also, down below, there is a link to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next time.